Hello out there, all you wonderful people. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy. Thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear listening into another Heat versus video. And this time I'm going to be analyzing Heat against Zero. In this case, it's really going to be the X version of Heat versus the X version of Zero, and then the Zero version of Zero, and then the new version of Heat versus the X version of Zero and the Zero version of Zero. Honestly, I don't know if there's really too much of a distinction between those characters when you think about both versions of Zero, outside of their physical design. I'll think about it. Like, I'm going over it while I'm like doing this. So firstly, like, if anybody's seen the Heat versus or listened to the Heat versus X discussion, then you probably already know the answer between Heat and Zero. But I'm still gonna go over it in details anyway. Heat's abilities to, like, Heat has his normal attack, and then he has his elemental based attacks, which is Heat and Lightning, and then he has his Maverick antivirus. Now, for X, the Maverick antivirus was useless, completely useless, but Zero, at least the X version of Zero, I think it would actually work on him, because Zero can get powered up by the Sigma virus. So I do believe that the antivirus from Heat would actually do some damage to Zero. It would actually affect him. Because whether people know it or not, during the X series, while Zero was out as a Maverick Hunter, he was unintentionally spreading the Maverick virus. Like, because it was literally pouring out of his body. He didn't know it was, but that's what was happening with him. Which kind of makes me wonder how all of those Reploids that worked in Hunter HQ never got affected by him. Like, that is such a thing to think about. But putting it out like that. Like, and Zero gets powered up by the Sigma virus and all that stuff. So potentially, I guess if you say if this Zero is in an awakened state, Heat has a chance of actually taking him out because of the fact that he's literally coated in Sigma virus or his own Zero virus, and that would power him. That would be the basis of his power. Now, whether or not Heat taking out the virus or utilizing his antivirus ability, I don't know if that would necessarily defeat Zero fully or if it would just depower him. That's one of those two things I'm not so sure about. Like, because you have to think about how does. I don't know. Like, I really don't know, because Awakened Zero is like potential unlocked X. Is just like one of those things where you're like looking at this and I'm like, I want to say it would knock him out because of the internal shock to his systems. I think it would take him down. Like, but if Zero isn't in that awakened form, oddly enough, I think he would fare better against the X version of Heat that I've come up with. Because he'd basically be relying all on his, like, yeah, he'd still be extremely powerful, but he'd be relying on his skill and close quarters capabilities. Unlike Awakened Zero, who basically hacks and can just like spam like freaking huge beams of freaking destructive power just by swinging his saber. Like, it's just like, gosh, that's freaking ridiculous what he can do. Like, but the Awakened Zero probably would get taken down. Normal Zero would, I think, beat Heat. No problem. Like, because he wouldn't hesitate on taking him down. It wouldn't be a quick fight, much like it wouldn't be for X. But I think like normal Zero would fuck him up. Like, well, I'm not gonna lie, because of the lack of experience for Heat and Zero's tenacity. Yeah, I don't. Nah. As much as I would want to say, yeah, he's just going to win this fight. Nah, he'd get beat. He would get beat. Now, Nightmare Zero now. Because I think Nightmare Zero is literally just a virus anyway. Yeah, Heat would beat that. He would take him out, no problem. Again, because of the antivirus within him. It it's one of those things where you gotta leverage the capabilities of the characters back and forth, and the antivirus capabilities of Heat would wipe out Nightmare Zero. Like, it wouldn't be the quickest fight ever, like, but he's designed for it, so he would definitely like wipe that out. Now against the Mega Man Zero version of Heat, I mean not Heat, of Zero, I don't think that he would win at all. Like, I don't think he'd stand a chance. Like, this is a Zero that's been through all, like, the Maverick Wars. He's been through the Elf Wars, and put himself to sleep. And then on top of that, he fought Neo Arcadia, like took on Dr. Wheel, took on Omega Zero, and this version of Zero, I believe, isn't affected by the Maverick virus at all. Like, he's not affected by it, so it would be much more akin to Classic Zero taking on Heat in that scenario. But this Zero has more skills, really. Like, he has more skills and weapons. So I think he would beat Heat. He'll just, like, boiling it down, he'd beat Heat. Now, the newer version of Heat, which is the one that's in the picture on the screen, looks more heavily armored and a bit more, than the one that is variable armor changes and stuff. Against Classic Zero, I'd say he'd probably lose in the initial fight. Like, he definitely lose right off the bat, not knowing who Zero was and not knowing anything about him. And again, Zero's relentlessness and his cold and calculating nature would make it extremely possible. But then the Nightmare Zero would be wiped out. Like, even without the antivirus, this version of Heat will probably wipe him out, because again, that's not really Zero anyhow. It's like a clone or a copy of Zero, and it's not as good. Even if it has some of the same abilities as the awakened version of Zero, is not on that level. Speaking of awakened Zero, I don't know, because like awakened Zero seems to have like he seems like he's cocky. Like, I don't know, maybe he's not, but it's just like I guess it's the way they presented the character when they showed him in X5. Like, he seems like he's cocky. So I could see Heat with his armor variants getting, like, this version of Heat with the armor variants getting the upper hand on him. Like, you probably get the upper hand on Classic Zero, but I think Classic Zero's mind is more clear. So he, even though he's weaker than Awakened Zero, like, mentally he's more clear in his head and would just take out, like, just go for the goal of taking out whoever's in front of him. Like, not saying it'd be easy for him with this version of Heat, but he would probably take the battle in the long run. Even with the variable armors of Heat. That's why I'm thinking, like, Zero wouldn't, I don't think Zero would give Heat much time to swap armors. Like, even if Heat can do it on the fly, I don't think Zero would give him a whole lot of time to be able to do it. And that's really the thing. Like, he wouldn't get the chance to. But Awakened Zero, I think he might actually be, because he seems like he wants to fight people that are strong enough to keep up with him. So that's why I could kind of see this version of Heat actually beating that version of Zero. Because again, this just seems like to be an air of cockiness to the character, and that could be the downfall for him. Now, going with the Mega Man Zero version of Zero, I think that Heat would lose. Honestly, I think the updated version of Heat would lose, even with the updated variations in the systems and stuff like that, and being more experienced than the X version of Heat that I have. Yeah, I could definitely see this version of Zero beating him. But like even though he doesn't have a variable armor system, he does adjust. Like this version of Zero seems to be able to adjust a little bit more quickly to things, and like he can take on different capabilities and stuff. Like his body is just different from Classic Zero. But like, and I would put Classic Zero over this version of Heat because of his cold and calculating nature. And this Zero still retains that. Like he might in between fights be a little bit more like X, but while he's fighting, this version of Zero is quite a bit more calculated than characters like X are. At least from what I remember from the games. So I could be wrong, but it's just what I'm remembering. So I would put this version of Zero over the newer version of Heat. Just barely, but I would put him over just because of like what I remember of the character. And me having not fully fleshed out Heat, even though I would say that they're battle capability wise, they are evenly matched. The experience of Zero, I think, would be the experience and the ability to just not hesitate during battle. I think he would definitely take the fight. Like just in overall goings of things. Thinking. Is there anything else? Because I'm like, and I know somebody's going to say Omega, but that's separate because Omega's a different character than Zero. He may have Zero's body, but he's a different character, and with different character and different personality traits, there's going to be differences in how these fights could go. But in the long run, I guess overall, then Zero would generally take it, unless it's like an awakened Zero, even though he has more power, he's a little bit more cocky, or Nightmare Zero, which is not actually, again, it's not actually Zero, but it's close enough to Zero to be considered in the situation. But that's really it. I don't think there's much more I can go on off that. So yeah, in this situation, I think more than likely Zero would win the overall. So that's it. Thank you guys very much for listening. Keep your eyes and ears up for more stuff from me. And until the next time, enjoy your games. Peace out.